On today's episode, we'll talk about dealing with the pre-shoot jitters, what to do when you come in as a B camera operator, Paddington, slow horses, and of course, the worst first day low mode steadicam shot of all time. Just a little bit of business before we start. There may be a curse word here or there in this episode, so please listen responsibly. As always, our website, theop.io, is up and chock full of tips, tricks, and gooey operator goodness. Make sure to check out The Breakdown, where the best operators in the biz explain shots they have done, The Musings, where we discuss everything from quick tips to larger concepts of storytelling, the answers, the images, and so much more. I may or I may not take a break or two during this episode, but I promise that none of them will be longer than 22 seconds. Finally, if you are enjoying the podcast, please follow us, write a review, share us with your parents, and talk us up around the water cooler with your friends. So grab a beverage, sit back, and enjoy the op. Thanks for listening.
Lock it up, nice and quiet, and let's roll.
Rolling. Victor 30 Echo, take 2.
Hey, Mark. Hey, Mark.
And camera set. And action.
Hello and welcome back to the Op Podcast, the podcast where we talk about operating and the art of visual storytelling. I'm Dave Comides, your host, and coming to you today from Erie, London. I'm across the pond in Great Britain, and Airflex has been kind enough to lend me space here because it sounds better than the Chippy at Piccadilly Circus. I'm very excited today to have a great guest, great camera operator, steadicam operator, Vince McGahon. Some of his credits, but not all by any means. Slow Horses, which I still have yet to see, but I hear amazing things about. Fantastic Beasts 2, Ready Player One, Paddington, Legend. The list goes on and on. He has been nominated for operating awards for Sherlock Holmes, A Game of Shadows, Fantastic Beasts, Stan and Ollie, and Slow Horses, and he also won the BSC Operator of the Year Award for Slow Horses. Vince, thanks for being here.
No, thanks for having me.
Nice to meet you. So tell me, what's your story? How'd you get here? How'd you become an operator?
How did I get to be an operator?
Yeah.
It's probably my own fault, I think.
That bad, huh?
Well, yeah. I mean, when I came to Leeds School and I was going to go to college, I decided that I kind of wanted to do something I was interested in.
There you go.
Rather than, kind of a more normal kind of subject. But and I'd always been somebody who'd been interested in movies. I'd always gone to the movies as a kid from as long as I can remember, really.
Yeah.
So I decided I want to try and do something like that. So I went and found a college in York, where I still live.
Okay.
And did a little kind of film and TV degree there, but it was very small.
Yeah.
And because I had no kind of real experience of anything, it was small. But as I was there, it kind of expanded into a bigger thing while I was there. So I kind of grew and grew, and I kind of did that, and then when I left there, I got a job with a local company that did, well, what do we call them then? Industrial films. People call them corporate videos these days.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
So I did that. Actually, strangely, I was actually employed as a trainee editor.
Oh, really?
On video.
Yeah.
Everything was video then.
Videotapes back then?
Videotapes, yeah. I mean, at college, my first thing we ever shot at college was on half-inch black and white video.
Wow.
Reel to reel.
Oh my gosh.
Where you would go out and shoot with a little black and white camera with a cable to a man-pack recorder on your back.
Oh yeah.
And then you come back, put it on two spools of two reels of tape, and to edit pictures together, you had two machines. Yep. You had your record and your playback.
I remember.
And you had to line up, wind it all back 10 seconds.
Oh my gosh.
Press play. And if you thought you were going to if you thought it was going to come at the right point, you hit record on the thing and hoped that was right. And that's what we did for the first thing. Anyway, so the company I worked for used to make these corporate video things, and I got taken on because I'd had some dealings with the same company when I was at college because they used equipment and stuff. We'd shared equipment out, and I'd done a little camera thing with them because I had a little 3-camera OB unit at the college, and they hired it once, and they wanted some students to run the cameras. So I'd done a bit of that. Anyway, by the by, etc. They ended up giving me a job. So I left college on the Friday, started work on the Monday.
Oh, there you go.
As a trainee editor. And then that little corporate video department, which was a bit of a one-man band when I joined it, it kind of expanded a little bit. And as video kind of grew a bit more, I think the first machines we had were low-band pneumatic. Then it became high-band pneumatic.
Okay.
And then eventually when Betacam came out, they had Betacam.
All right.
So I used to edit. People used to bring. It was a combination of companies that shot their own corporate videos would come to us and have them edited together.
Sure.
And then there was a little bit of production where we would get commissioned to shoot videos for people.
Yeah.
So then I ended up doing a bit of shooting them and editing them. So it kind of went like that, really. That's how I started that.
That's great.
And I did that for 4 or 5 years, and it kind of wasn't going anywhere.
It
was kind of like
a while.
exterior of the factory,
Yeah.
speech from the chairman, inside the factory, talk to the employees, bit of process, and it always a bit the same. So I was kind of thinking, I kind of want to do something
Not what
a
I get
bit
into
more
this for.
kind
Yeah.
of, you know. And like I said, always been a moviegoer. So I kind of wanted to get it, but I had no contacts and no background, no family contacts or anything. So I just kind of, but that kind of got me into it. But I did meet a few people while I was there, and then eventually went freelance.
As a shooter,
Well,
freelance, or
I actually did a bit of both.
as whatever. Yeah.
Because actually we ended up working for the same company, but on a freelance basis. So
Okay.
they would just bring me in
Yeah.
when, you know. So that kind of went like that. And then eventually I realised in the big bad world that you have to decide whether you're going to be an editor or a cameraman, operator,
to
whatever.
be taken seriously.
And I thought, you know what, I actually quite enjoy being out on the road and shooting stuff. So so that's why I stuck, really. And then I met a few people and, you know, kind of did a few freelancey jobs, and then they seemed to like what I did, and it kind of built from there. But it was still the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I thought, oh, what am I going to do? Anyway, of course, at college when I was at college was when The Shining came out. So of course that was the big Steadicam thing. I kept thinking, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I've not seen that before.
Yeah.
So then I thought, what can I do?
Do you remember seeing it? Did you understand what it was, or did you just understand this is different? And
I think I
wanna learn
did
more?
because I don't know what happened in the States, but when it was released here, the big film program, the big film review show that was on, the Barry Norman show that used to be on film, whatever it was.
It was like a TV show. That
It was a TV show every Monday night. Usually there was like a half-hour TV show with films reviewed.
Okay.
That were coming out, and so when The Shining came out, the Beeb actually showed the little half-hour behind-the-scenes thing.
Oh, sure.
At the I think it was either before or straight after. So you got a sense of what it was all about. Then.
Yeah,
And I
and
went,
let's get those great
I
shots
thought,
of Garrett
that's
running
interesting.
around. And yeah.
So,
that's really cool.
So that was it. So I always kind of had this thing in the back of my mind. So I'd met one or two people working freelance as a video camera operator. And then I said to a guy who I'd met doing something who was a freelance for the Beeb, for the BBC, doing stuff. And he'd done dramas and bits and pieces. So I kind of knew he had some knowledge. So I quizzed him. I said, what do I want to do if I find out about Steadicam? And he went, right.
What year is this?
This would have been 86-ish.
So it's not like there are a ton of Steadicam operators around.
Well,
yet.
so what happened
there's
was,
some, but
so this guy said to me, well, the person you need to speak to is a guy called John Ward,
okay.
who at the time was kind of Mr. UK Steadicam.
I've heard of his.
So-
he did a little bit on The Shining.
No, he did Full Metal Jacket.
He did Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
all right.
So I can't remember how now, but anyway, I ended up getting his number.
Okay.
So basically, he was based in London and so on and so on. And so I basically just rang him up and said, hi, I'm interested in finding out about Steadicam. And he said, oh, well, if you're ever in London, come down and I'll give you a play.
That's great.
And I was like, okay. So I probably waited a week or two and then rang him up and said, oh, actually, I'm going to be in London next week.
How old are you at this point?
How old am I? Well, that would be
Early
so that would be 86-ish probably.
Yeah.
So I'd be 36.
Oh, okay. All right.
So is that right? No, 26.
26. So that sounds more right.
That sounds more like it, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah. But I hear you. But you're,
So yeah, so cut to, we're in his back garden, and there's John. So and at the time you were saying about Steadicam. So at the time he said to me, I always remember this. There are 12 Steadicams in the country.
wow.
And I own 3 of them.
And a couple were probably rental.
And there was a couple of rentals, one at PV, and there was another. I think there was another rental. And
So there's probably only like 5 Steadicam
And then
operators.
there was a guy in Scotland, Jan Pester, who had one, and then there was probably 2, I think. Do you you ever come across a Channel 4 show called Brookside, which was a bit of a soap?
No.
Which when Channel 4 came out was its big kind of soap thing.
Okay.
And they were kind of bit of pioneers in kind of use of Steadicam as a tool that you had.
Really? Brookside?
Yeah, Brookside, yeah.
I'll have to look
Peter
that up.
Cavaciuti, who I'm sure you're probably going to interview while you're here.
Yep. Actually, I'm talking to him tomorrow.
He used to be there.
No, really?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll have to ask him about that.
So
That's great.
they were kind of, I suppose, in the way that ER was a tool where
Yeah.
it was there as part of everything you had.
Yep. Absolutely.
steadicam was kind of just one of the tools that they had if they wanted
that's
to do it. So they did a lot of it. So John said, look, I own 3 of them. But so I think I went down 2-3 times in the next few months just to kind of have a play.
Yeah.
And then I start trying to get my corporate clients to, rather than the chairman sitting behind his desk, I'd say, "Oh, I need a little walk."
So
down
he
the
would let
corridor.
you borrow a Steadicam?
Well, no, I
Rent
rented from them.
Yeah,
I would try and
rented
persuade the people I was working for and say, "Well, let's not have him sat there. Why don't have him walk down the corridor or walk around?" And so we did a bit of that. So I managed to get some real life practice, if you want, through doing stuff like that.
And someone else's dime.
and then I think the year after that, which would have been 87, in fact it was 87, because I recently found the bill where the National Film School here started doing short courses, and they ran a Steadicam short course, like a workshop for a week, which originally John was going to run, but at the last minute he bailed because I think he got offered a job and he took him away, so he didn't do it. And an operator called Nigel Curtin, who was one of the operators that John used to use one of John's rigs all the time.
Okay.
He ran that course, so I did that workshop for a week.
Oh, that's great.
And there was about, I think that would have been 87, so that would have been, and then there was about, I can't remember, it was probably a dozen maybe at most guys on it, one of whom was Peter Robertson.
Oh, yeah,
sure. So I think out of all the people who are on that thing, there's only me and him who kind of continued it through, really.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
So that's funny.
Huh.
So they did that, and then I kind of carried on trying to find stuff to do, and basically just telling everybody that was a Steadicam operator.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Well, there weren't that many, right?
Yeah, so exactly. And then there were times. So then John, I would rent a rig off John if I needed it, if I got a gig.
This was was it a Model 2 or a Model
3?
Model 3. Okay.
And then I think about 2 years after that of doing this bits and bobs, still continuing on doing the same sort of work, John rang me up and said, "I'm thinking of selling one of my rigs, so if you're interested, you can have first choice on it."
Yeah.
So I ended up buying a second-hand Mark III from John.
Okay.
Which was a bit of a major number.
Yeah.
Because it was quite a lot of money, even second-hand in those days.
Well, there weren't that many around.
Because there weren't that many around, and so cut to me and my now wife, then girlfriend. We bought a house about 2 years before, our first house. And we had to put the house up as security for the loan.
Oh my God.
Which, of course, I'll be ever eternally grateful to her for, because I kind of thinking
there has to be that moment where you're like,
going to happen.
Really makes
does
sense?
this really make sense to do this?
But you got to believe in yourself.
So basically that's what happened. So, and again, like I said, I recently was having a big clear out of masses of old paperwork in the attic, and found the invoice from the short course, the National Film School, and the invoice from John.
For the Steadicam. Do you remember what you paid for it? Do you mind me asking?
I think I can find it now. Bear with me, caller. I think it was about. I've got a photo. I thought I've got to take a picture of this. Yeah. So it is dated the 1st of the 11th, 89. 1st of November, 89, and I paid. Invoice total was £16,192.
Oh, that's actually less than I would have thought it was. That was for an arm vest and...
That's an arm vest and a sled.
I'm not sure what the exchange rate was, so I'm not sure about American dollars, but that's less than I would have thought.
And the arm and the
Still
vest...
a lot of money.
And the arm and the vest were, John said, were the ones that he rented out. One of the pair that he rented out to aliens to use...
For the guns.
For the guns.
Oh, that's great. Oh, how cool. Oh, that's
the vest had been completely rebuilt.
No, but still, it's a piece of history.
The pads and everything had rotted.
That's
so
great.
The vest had been refurbished, but the arm was one of the arms.
For anybody who's listening who doesn't know, and I'm guessing everybody knows this, it's, what was her name? Vasquez, I think, was the name of the woman.
Vasquez and somebody else. I can't remember the guy.
But they wore actual... vests and arms, and they had like guns mounted on them, right? That's amazing. Garrett once told me, Garrett Brown, the inventor of Steadicam, he once told me that he was contacted by the military, maybe because of aliens, or maybe it was before aliens, because they wanted to use it for that technology for like sharpshooters and stuff like that. Yeah. And he said, I don't want anything to do with this. You figure it out yourself. That's really cool. Yes. That's very cool.
So that's kind of when I started. So then obviously I now had a rig, and physically having the rig yourself meant that I could practice a bit. But whatever. Yeah,
exactly. Well, you could get better at it.
Yeah, and then just wearing it more often, and even if it's just with a brick on it,
Yep. And so, how many Steadicam operators do you think were in England at the time?
Oh, I don't know.
I mean, just a handful.
Still a handful. I mean, there's still people doing it.
Yeah.
But like I said, there wasn't very many rigs around. That was the problem.
Sure.
You have to go to Panavision to write. Panavision, I think did Panavision have one or two? I can't remember.
Yeah.
But it's a long time ago.
Yeah.
So the course was in '87, and I bought the rig in '89.
So let me ask you a question. Back then, how did you get the word out that you were a Steadicam operator? Because it's not like you had
just
the
went
internet.
through.
You just call people on the phone.
The knowledge and any kind of film related magazines you could find, and
Yeah.
you would just find lists of production companies and just
call them and
send them. Do a mail shot, and do whatever and
interesting.
anything you could really.
Yep.
And then there was a couple, and then just it kind of slowly started a little bit to be a bit more work, and then a local company that did commercials, they got in touch and I did a couple of little commercials for them, and just bits and pieces. I mean, and this time as well, it was I was starting to do film as well, which of course I'd never had really any real experience of, but I'd also done, because I realised, I thought, I can't just do video all the time, especially if I want to get into doing drama
I gotta
a narrative.
Get a film camera on here some point.
So I thought, all right, okay. So what I did was I did another short course at the film school, which was like a film familiarisation
Oh,
for
just
video
to learn
people.
the basics.
So you got the basics, and you got knowledge of handling film,
Yeah.
and they explain what everybody better. And so, and of course, I'd been on a few jobs where I realised all of this, and so that was that really.
Yeah.
And then just eventually it kind of picked up just doing odds and sods, get a day on a little drama perhaps, or I mean even the commercials. I did a few commercials, but still not that many.
Yeah.
And then where did we go from there? How did it transition? I don't really know how it transitioned. It just slowly. It did slowly.
Sure.
It was a very slow process.
Yeah.
And then eventually, you meet somebody who quite likes what you did,
And then they get a break, and
they ask you to do another job, and so on and so on.
Now, were you doing conventional operating back then?
Those
as
did.
well?
I mean, I still did the corporate video things a little bit, which was conventional generally.
Yeah, but not dramatic stuff.
But
yet?
not dramatic stuff. But then, as you do more and more dailies and things, occasionally they would say, "Oh, we're just going to pop off a quick shot. You just jump on that camera, or we're going to rip this camera off the Steadicam and just jump on, and will you just operate it?" So that's how that kind of stuff.
So you really came into operating through Steadicam.
Through Steadicam, yeah. I mean, I'd obviously been operating before, where I'd lit and operated all these corporate videos and things, but it was the
dramatic
the narrative side of it was more a little bit through a little sidestep through doing Steadicam, where once they figured out that you kind of had an idea of how to frame things and react to what was happening and so on. So
how long from getting your Steadicam until you got to the point where you could go on a set and feel confident that you could do what they needed you to do?
Oh, well, that
Still working.
I still have days like that.
Don't we all?
So then it became more and more I did more and more TV dramas, and then I had picked up a few pop videos and stuff like that, and it just kind of slowly built up, really.
Yeah.
And then I did a long stint as a freelance on a soap, a soap in here, it's still going, a soap called Emmerdale, which was
It's one of those ones that, like General
it just keeps
Hospital,
going on and on and on and on. And
Yeah.
I fell in with them a little bit. They were, I mean, they've been like 5 episodes a week, and they have 2 units constantly shooting.
5 episodes.
They have 2 units side by side shooting all the time.
It's an hour-long show?
No, 25. Well, it's like half-hour slot.
Half hour. Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha.
And
wow. So, and would is that the kind of thing that you'd be on full-time, or they just pull?
No, I'd just be in for
Thursday,
dailies, because it was all kind of that was made by Yorkshire Television, and it was all crewed by their internal staff, really.
Okay. So
but occasionally they'd have things where they wanted extras to come in, and they had a little bit of a budget for extras to come in, and then because they carried their own cranes as well. They had a little mini Swiss hot dog crane, I think it was called.
Huh.
They had them, which were owned by the company, but then I had one director who wanted to have Steadicam for something, and I think my wife, who was then a script supervisor, well, she wasn't my wife then, but she was now.
Yeah.
She was a script supervisor. She'd been doing a bit of Emmerdale, and they went, "Oh, your brother doesn't," and she said, "No." So I got a call, and I went to see them, and I did a couple of Steadicam things, and then one of the directors I met while I was doing those days, he became a big fan of Steadicam, and that kind of continued on, really. And at one stage, I was doing like 3 days a week,
Oh, that's great.
But that's where you learn.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, they shoot 20 odd pages a day,
But most of it's walk and talks and stuff.
Lots of walk and talks, a bit of rap, but the other thing is it's all cabled as well.
Oh, geez, it's video.
So it's all video, so it's all cabled.
Wow, that's rough.
So, and I remember doing some very long walk and talks and things, and I've got enough cable.
Someone's just coiling out the cable as you're going, oh boy.
Yeah, so there's lots of big, complicated, relatively complicated stuff for what it was. Yeah. But of course, they're doing 20-odd pages a day. I mean, more in the studio, but on location, it would easily be 15 to 20 pages a day.
Oh my gosh, this is a factory.
And so you're thinking, well, and of course you live and die by it, don't you? Because if they don't finish the days because you're messing about and you haven't got the thing, then you're elbowed and you're not asked back.
Yep.
So luckily, I kind of got on okay with that.
That's great.
And that's a very quick learning.
It probably is the kind of thing also where, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but if they're doing that kind of page count, they're probably not looking for perfection either. They're looking for good stuff, but if there's a slight problem or this or that, so as you're learning, that's probably a very good place to be. I mean, it's like my thing was I did these horrible rap videos early on, and I don't even think anybody was paying attention. They didn't care as long as it moved and it was cool. So I learned how to move the rig, there. You could do.
And I did my first ever crane step off on that show as well.
Oh wow!
Which I don't think they allow anymore.
They do it occasionally, but there's no reason.
And it was funny because I was listening recently to the Garrett interview that you did, and he was talking about the Bound for Glory thing with a step off the crane.
Like a 1 foot. I mean, it was the first step.
On the platform on the Swiss cine jib.
The one that they carried.
I think the dolly was called, the basic was called a hot dog, but the cine jib had a platform. It's like an octagonal platform frame with a bazooka post in the middle, with an operator seat off that.
Oh yeah.
So it was probably only 2 foot wide at most.
Just enough for your feet.
Just enough for my feet.
Yeah.
And we did the first crane stuff I did was that, and it was basically me pressed up against the bazooka with the lightest of the other operators
to hold you.
Sat on the seat with his arms around my waist or my legs, enough so he didn't get in the way of the sled.
Yeah.
And then they craned down, and then obviously the heaviest guy who was around stepped on before I stepped off. Yeah. So that was my first step.
I think we all did those back in the day.
So so that kind of built up, and then I realised that if I got to keep on doing that a lot of the time, again, it was kind of not going to take me anywhere. So I made sure that I didn't get tied into doing that all the time.
Because you could do that for 30 years.
Yeah, if I wasn't careful then. Yeah. Or just as easy, the plug could be pulled because there was a constant changeover of producers and so on.
Okay.
And if one producer decided he didn't want to spend the money on having a steadicam 3 days a week, then it could just as easily disappear. So I always made sure that I still tried to do other things, so I didn't automatically say to them, "Oh yes, I'm available." I would say, "Smart. Can't do that day because I'm doing something else."
That's actually a really good note for people who are starting out. It's like it's great to have be in a pocket
regular
somewhere, but you also want to make sure your name's out other places and you're working with people because you just never know when something's going to end.
Yeah.
Right?
So and then the kind of start of the change was I got a phone call so it's thanks to Peter Robertson in a way. Because he was on a film called Jude, a Michael Winterbottom film.
Okay.
He'd been stuff on that, which was shooting up near me. Because I live in York, which is, for those who don't know, 200 miles north of London.
Oh, is that far?
It's in Yorkshire, It's in Yorkshire, yeah.
All right.
So I live there. And they were shooting a bit further north from me up in the Dales, the Yorkshire Dales. And he'd been on it, I think, for a while. Anyway, they'd overrun, I think, and he hadn't done the stuff we wanted him to do. And he'd had to leave for something else. I can't remember exactly the details. So on a Friday night, I remember coming back from the pub, seeing an answer machine message flashing on my answer machine, but on Friday night, come back from the pub thinking, forget it.
Who cares?
Went to bed. Got up in the morning, listened to the message, and it was a production manager from his job saying, "Hello, we're shooting up in so and so and so. Peter's had to leave, and he's given us your name because he knows you live nearby. Any chance you were available today to come up and do it?" I thought, oh my God. So I rang this number. She said, "How soon can you get here?" I said, "Well, it'll probably take me, once I've loaded the gear, it'll probably take me an hour or so to get right. On your way."
And it's that easy. I love it.
So I went and I did that, and that was Michael Winterbottom was the director. I went and did a bit of a day on that.
Yeah.
And the operator was a gentleman called Philip Sindel, who was a very nice guy. So I did a bit of a day on that. Anyway, never thought anything of it. And then continued on doing the TV drama stuff. Met a first AD on another TV drama. And then by the time, we're talking about 96 it would have been, summer of 96, then got a phone call. I can't remember the time difference between doing that day and getting this phone call. Got a phone call. Michael Winterbottom was doing a film. Would I be interested in coming along and doing it. And maybe it's coming on as the B camera and the steadicam. So the DOP was a gentleman called Daff Hobson, whose name I'd heard because he used to work around the Leeds area, which is near York, where I am. And as it turns out, a gaffer that I'd met doing some corporate videos knew him as well. So anyway, by the by, my name had appeared from the first AD on one of the TV drama who was going to do this film with Michael Winterbottom. And kind of one of those things of...
Yeah, they heard it from enough
there was
people.
enough. So anyway, so I got this phone call, ended up doing that. So that was the first film that I did.
Yeah. And you were the
from
B
start to
camera
finish,
operator.
and I was the B camera steadicam because Daff, the DOP, operated himself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So so that kind of started from there. So that was a film called Welcome to Sarajevo.
Oh yeah. Oh, I remember that
which
movie.
was which was 2 weeks in Sarajevo.
Wow.
Which was only about 6 months after the war had finished.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it was a chunk of 3-4 weeks in Croatia and 3-4 weeks in Macedonia, and then it was all away. But then there was 2 weeks in London at the end.
Was there a learning curve being on B camera?
There was a little bit. I mean, like I say, doing TV dramas and being jumped on every now and then to do.
You had enough of an idea.
I had enough of it, right? But that was the job that kind of told me where I figured out how how a camera department properly works.
Yeah, because there's all that politics of hierarchy and all that stuff.
So that made me that kind of made me figure out how a camera department is run.
Yeah.
And how it works and where you slot in and and that was the beginning of me thinking I should keep my mouth shut here, or shall I say something here?
But that's a huge part of the job, right? It's not only what to say, but when to say it. And when not to say it is probably
so I did that, and that was fucking hard job.
Yeah.
It's a tough job.
Because of the locations, or because of...
Bit of everything, really.
Yeah.
I mean, Michael's I think his background was an editor, so he likes lots of material, so there's lots of coverage, and it was just the conditions and where we were. We shot 14 days on the trot in Sarajevo itself.
Wow.
Because that was we were only allowed to do that.
Oh.
I think it was financed by Channel 4, and Channel 4 said, you don't want to go there. Yeah. But Michael said, well, we've got to go there because it's
in the title.
So we went there, and we had mines specialists who would be going around checking the locations for mines.
Wow, so it was that.
It was because, like I say, it was still only 5-6 months after the war had finished in that area.
Wow.
So there was all of that going on.
Yeah.
So that was interesting. I remember the mines guy giving us the talk and saying, if you see anything, he said, try and stay on the concrete. And if you're on any grassed areas, first of all, check that we have checked them.
Yeah.
And even if we have checked them, still keep your eyes open. And if you see anything fin-like sticking out of the ground, you better just come and tell.
Oh my God.
So there's a lot of that went on anyway.
That's such a film business mentality also, because anybody else would think of that and go, what are we doing here? This is crazy.
So that was, and that was film, that was 35. That was a movie cam compact.
Okay. Yeah. Wonderful camera to
so
fly.
A nice, good, easy camera to fly, good, solid flying camera. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
So that was my first kind of film that I did all the way through from start to finish.
Yeah.
I kind of went.
And then I'm assuming you did B camera for a while.
And then I did B camera, and I did. Yeah, I was back to doing dailies a lot, obviously, but then slowly calls kept coming in, and I did a bit more B camera. I worked with Daff again quite a lot because we got on very well, and there was a few days on Welcome to Sarajevo where I did A camera because he was ill a couple of days, and he just said, you're going to have to do it.
Yeah.
So I did that. So that gave me straight away. I was into, all right, this is another deal here. Yeah. All right, and I've got to listen to this, and not listen to that, but listen to this, and pay attention to this bit, and I might have to talk to the actors a bit more.
Yeah.
But then Daffo, and I did a few more jobs with him after that as well, where he, when we came back, and I kind of never ever thought I would ever get to be an air camera operator. I thought I'd seen air camera operators do stuff.
Because you didn't want to, or you just didn't feel like you had the...
I just thought I didn't quite have the thing,
Oh, okay.
I thought, this is not quite, I'm happy doing the Steadicam and kind of being told what to do.
Yeah.
But I remember Daft talking to me one day, and he was saying, well, you should move on and do a bit more regular operating, and blah, blah, blah. And I said, yeah, but it's not quite the same. He said, well, what you have to remember is, which is, I always remember, he said, the thing is, when you're there doing the Steadicam shot, you are the A-camera operator.
Oh, yeah.
And I went, oh...
Yeah,
you're probably right.
Yeah. Well, and I think there's a weird thing, like when you have the rig on, there's something people do sort of listen to you, and makes you're the expert of there, and so you do.
So so I kind of went from there, and then again, kind of, I say balloon's not the right word, but it expanded from there just through your name becoming known, really.
Yeah.
You know, still, as we still say, you know, it's a business where it's kind of still who you meet, and usually by accident.
Yeah.
And if you get on well with somebody and you get asked back, and then your name gets passed around and so on and so on.
No question about
So I did do that's when I kind of started doing more features than, the balance went into doing more features than doing, say, TV drama.
Uh-huh.
And I worked for quite a lot of DPs who operated themselves because they wanted a B-cam, steadicam.
And I think that's more the norm here than it is in the States, right? A lot of DPs operate themselves.
I mean, there's still a
used
mix.
to, maybe?
There's still a mix, but that was also in the days when DOPs came out to the BBC, where the standard for a TV drama was.
Oh, that was
The
normal.
standard was there was a lighting cameraman who operated as well. You know.
Okay. Gotcha.
But then when they came out and they started getting bigger jobs, then sometimes they would have an operator, or some of them still like to do it themselves.
Yep.
Some of them are very good at it.
Absolutely.
Some guys who light and operate are very good at it. You know.
Sean Bobbitt, who I've worked with, drives me nuts because and I say to him every time, I'm going to get you off of a camera, and he looks at me and he goes, not as long as I'm working.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and I did a double Sean. He probably can't remember. I did do a couple of days on a TV thing with Sean. Yeah, and he's. Yeah.
He's a good operator. He's
Very
a wonderful man too.
No,
but I understand he would get he would absolutely
twitch,
lose his
wouldn't he?
mind but sitting behind a monitor, and he couldn't do it. And I understand why.
Yeah.
So, but eventually you obviously settled into a camera, and
I think I carried on, and then through the Sarajevo thing, the focus puller on the Sarajevo job was a gentleman called John Conroy, Irish, who's now quite a well-known DP.
I've heard of his name. Yeah,
works a lot in American also. Okay. He was the focus puller on that, and through him, I did a few jobs in Ireland, and through. And met an operator called Des Whelan, who you've probably heard of. And
I'm talking to
Des.
Des
Are you going to talk to him? All right. Okay, so I met Des, and through John and Des, I got a few jobs, and then because of that, I met Philippe Rousselot.
Oh wow!
Who Des started up doing a camera for, and John focus pull for, and then they did the Tailor of Panama. And I went up to Panama for the first week because they thought their grip gear wasn't going to turn up because it was coming out on a container. So I got this phone call saying, "Can you come out to Panama next week?" Yeah. So
we don't have a dolly, so we need you.
Yeah. So I did a bit of Steadicam for them, and then through that, and then Des started working for Tim Burton, and then and then they asked me if I'd do Charlie Chocolate Factory with them. So through Des and John, I kind of met a lot of people and a lot of contacts, and the size of the job, the nature of the job sort of changed, really.
Tell me about Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, because working with Tim Burton has to be a trip.
It was interesting, definitely, and it was. I have to say, it was probably, even though I was doing the B camera, there was a few Steadicam shots, but very much a single camera show.
That doesn't surprise me, actually. Yeah.
And I always remember, we'd be lining stuff up, and he'd go right. He'd get his 27mm out on his stick, and he would line the shot up. And it was great. And then
Tim Burton would
he lined the shot up with Philippe.
Yeah, sure.
And then Philippe would go, "Well, shall we put the other camera?" And Philippe would go, and Tim would go, "No, this is the shot I want. Why would I want to put a camera there?"
I love that. That's great. It makes not much for you to do,
right. But then you get a chance to see how it all works. How Des would not run the floor, but how he would organise this, how he'd do a shot. We did those crane work, so I saw how.
Well, you're learning from the best there.
Exactly. So I saw all that. You go, right.
Yeah.
So with Des, I did more jobs with Philippe, and then when we did Sherlock Holmes on the first one, that was with Des, and I did the B camera, and then when we did the second one, Des wasn't available, so Philippe asked me to do the A camera.
Wow. That's high praise right
so
there.
That was all right. But the first A camera job I did was a film called The Walker, which was a thing directed by Paul Schrader.
Oh, okay.
Which was, I'd done a film a few years before called Stormbreaker, where I'd been the B camera operator with, and the A camera had been Philip Sindel, who had done the original Jude thing. So I'd done various things with Phil as well. Like Shakespeare in Love, did Dailies on Shakespeare in Love with Phil.
Oh, that's right, you did Shakespeare in Love. Okay.
So again, Phil, another one who helped me out massively. And then on the DP on Stormbreaker was a gentleman called Chris Seeger, very nice guy, ex-BBC, who was kind of used to operating himself, liked to operate, but since he left the Beeb, had started doing more features, and then had an operator to do stuff. And we ended up doing quite a lot of Steadicam on that. It was like a kid's spy movie. I don't know if you probably may have heard of it. so we ended up doing lots of Steadicam, and I got on really well with him. And then I did a few other little things with him, second Unity things with him. And then he said, rang me up one day and said, I've got this little film, 6-7 week film, Paul Schrader, and it's going to be pretty much single camera. Do you want to do the A camera? And I went, yeah. So I did that.
And was it overwhelming to be the only camera in the A camera operator, or what was
no, it was all right because Chris was there and was very supportive.
Yeah.
And there was no aggro.
It's a good way.
And it was very laid back.
Yeah.
And it was an amazing cast. With Woody Harrelson was the lead.
Oh wow.
Who'd been in Welcome to Sarajevo, ironically.
Oh, okay. So you knew him already. That's good.
And then it was Kristen Scott Thomas, Lauren Bacall,
wow,
Lily Tomlin. And it was like, oh my God.
Yeah, these are big. Exactly.
But no, it was all very calm, very laid back. Paul Schrader was very nice. He knew exactly kind of what he wanted to do, and it was all very straightforward. And then we had a few second camera days where they have a big game of cards and stuff like that. So we had a few second camera days, but it was primarily single camera, and that was the one where I kind of.
That gives you the confidence.
That gives me the confidence to go.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I probably can have a go.
Did you enjoy it?
I did, and actually, when people say to me, "So, what's the most enjoyable job you've ever done?" Actually, that's still one of the ones that comes to mind.
That's great.
Only because it was the first proper full A camera job that I did, where I was the one that people looked at and said, "Is that best there, or is that best there? And should we go that way, and should we go left here or right there, or do I need to stand here?" And so there's a lot of, and then you learn how to talk to the actors and.
So let me ask you about that, because I think that's one of the biggest things. I think it's one of the biggest things as far as being a camera operator. Well, how do you decide who? I mean, everybody's different, right?
Yeah.
And so there's some actors who need a lot. There's some actors who don't need much. There's some actors who don't want anything.
Yeah.
How do you
just try and figure that out?
I mean,
you just have to kind of start reading the room as soon as you can and see how they behave. And I mean, I just generally try, if possible, to give them as little instruction as possible. Is what my kind of thing is.
Yeah.
And obviously there are times when you say, just turn a little bit quicker, or can we have a bit of banana around there, or stuff like that. But if I'll try not to, well, interfere is not the right word, but you know what I mean. I'll try and let them do their thing.
Yeah.
And obviously then you quite soon figure out the ones that are quite happy for you to give them instructions, the ones that you can give them instructions when it won't make any difference. Mm-hmm. And and the ones that like to know the shot size, stuff like that.
Do you ask them what they?
Sometimes I do.
Find out what they want?
Sometimes, but then, it's an impossible thing to have an answer to because they're all different.
Absolutely.
And so,
a lot of it's just watching and paying attention.
Yeah. Watching and paying attention. Well, that's the thing you learn as a B camera.
Absolutely.
Is you watch and you pay attention.
Yeah.
Because the worst thing about B camera is them going, B camera, steady cameras, when they go, all right, we're going to do steady cam next. Where's Vince? And they go, oh, he's on the truck.
Yeah.
Or whatever. So you learn.
Don't be on the truck.
Don't be. I mean, there are times when you know you can be on the truck, and it's not going to make any difference.
No, absolutely.
But there are times when you think, no, I need to be around here just to keep my eye on what's going on and how they're doing stuff, and does he like that?
There's that, and but like you were saying, and you mentioned it. I mean, there's that thing for younger operators. If you're the B camera operator, you're not doing anything. Sit and watch the A camera operator, just because. And what I've always found, when someone told me this early on, is that you'll learn a lot more in your career from watching people fail than you will from succeeding, because succeeding doesn't always look like something, but failing does.
Yeah, it's when you're going, when somebody goes, no, we can't do it like that. Why not? Well, because if he goes there, then that blocks that.
And then you make a little mental note again.
And I suppose also doing lots of dailies as a Steadicam, you figure out how to be a bit of a chameleon and fit in as quickly as you can as to what's happening on the day.
Yeah, absolutely.
You think, all right, they don't like that, or and they go, you might frame something, and they go, no, we don't like, we want more headroom, or we want less headroom, or we don't like that. And so and I think that's what held me in good stead, is that you just kind of you learn to
You're forced to, right?
You read the room as quickly as you possibly can, just to go,
when you're on a day call and you go in, do you immediately go to the A camera operator and go, what kind of headroom do you like? What do I need to know about the actors? I
mean, I probably used to. I probably don't do so much now. In fact, I mean, I don't do very many dailies anymore. But that's just the way it's gone. When I did, I mean, I guess it would depend on if I knew him, if I knew the operator or not.
Sure.
Then Or sometimes it depends how quickly the day got going, and sometimes you don't get a chance.
So this is the train
they're straight into it, and it's like whoa.
Yeah, we've all been there.
Yeah,
it's
you
like,
go,
yeah. Steadicam's up, and you're just
and you're in,
you're
and
off
you're
to
going,
the
all right,
races.
okay, yeah. So that was it, yeah. So that was my first thing, and that's kind of what gave me a bit of the confidence to go, well, actually, maybe I can do this A-camera thing, you know.
Yeah.
And then, like I say, then Philippe gave me a break to be A-camera for him when Des wasn't available.
What an amazing
So
person
that was
to have
great.
a break
And, and he
with,
was fantastic, and he's a lovely bloke, and
That's
he's
what I've heard.
brilliant at what he does.
He's amazing at what he does.
And he'll soon tell you if he doesn't think it's right, but he'll just say, and even if he has, like we all have moments where we go, and he has one of those we all have these crazy moments. At the end of the day, he'll always say, thanks very much, see you tomorrow.
That's wonderful.
So,
can't ask for more than that. I mean,
so
reality is in the heat of the moment, things go however they go. So you never pulled focus.
No.
So did it? What's your relationship? Well, now is different. But when you were coming up, what was your relationship like with the focus pullers?
Well, like I said, because I'd done those couple of the familiarization with film courses where there were some focus pullers were on those courses who were kind of showing us the ropes kind of thing. And then being on a few jobs where you would turn up, I kind of just figured out, I thought, this is where he fits into the picture.
Yeah.
And when we did Welcome to Sarajevo, when I saw John basically kind of running the camera floor, if you like, I thought, right, okay. And I just learned to talk. We just learned to speak to each other and say, this is the plan. Mm-hmm. As far as I'm aware, this is the plan for the shot, and we'll be trying to be here for that. And that's kind of what I still stick to, is really talk to the focus puller as much as possible about communicate about what the plan might be.
Yep.
And obviously, it may go wrong here or it may go wrong there, but this is what we're aiming to do.
Yeah.
And that's kind of still how I try and do it. I mean, the biggest thing now, of course, is the change from film to digital. Is that more often than not, they're not stood next to you. And
they're in another room.
I mean, sometimes through necessity.
No, by no fault of their own.
But no fault of their own. But that's the one thing that's really changed.
Yeah.
In that respect, is that you suddenly find yourself with nobody immediately to talk to.
Exactly.
I'm going to go left.
And again, by no fault of their own, they have to be 2 inches from a monitor because the focus is so critical. I have zero idea how they do what they do. I mean, it's a video game, and I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean that in an understanding way.
It's an unbelievable skill that they've redeveloped really from film.
Now, starting out as a Steadicam operator and then becoming B camera operator, A camera operator, working with a dolly grip. What was that sort of transition like in learning? Because with Steadicam, you want to move. You don't have to talk to anybody. You don't have to work out timing.
Yeah. But I would still always try and talk to the grip about what we were going to do and whether I thought you needed to be near me and with me, or give me a guide, or make sure I don't smack that, or push me through there if I'm not getting through there.
Sure.
So I still try and talk to the grip again as much as possible.
Do you find that explaining the concept of the shot helps as opposed to just the physics of it, or what? Everybody's a little different that way.
Everybody's a little different. Yeah, the concept of what you're trying to achieve is usually. But I mean, as you know, if it's a good dolly grip, you'll have paid attention to the blocking and where we're at, and then we'll have said what we're going to do. We're going to do a board. We're going to do we're going to track, or what method are we going to use to do this? I mean, always rely on your grip to get you out of the shit if need be.
So actually, you bring up a good point. So let's say you show up on a show for a day call, or you're starting a show with a dolly grip you don't know. Right off the bat, are you sort of paying attention to how much they're paying attention, so you have an idea of if their head is in the game?
A little bit, yeah, I guess so, yeah.
I think that mentally, I think I do that. I don't do it purposely, but I think you're sort of gauging everybody right off the bat.
And especially in any job where you have a new face and you go, all right, and you kind of just see how they hold themselves on the set, really, and how they behave.
Yeah, and the other thing that I've found that I've done, I don't know if you do this, but I will often, sort of go, okay, we need to start here, we need to head here. What do you think we should? And I'll have an idea of how I think it should best be done, but I'll usually throw it to them, to see if we're on the same page, but also because sometimes I figure they have they know if the truck is 5 blocks away and something's there or not there, and they'll give me ideas. I kind of leave that open.
That's a good thing to do. Yeah. I mean, I think that's a good thing to try and share it out.
Yeah.
As to how we're going to get through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, you still have to do the shot, but
I would still sometimes say, I didn't like that. Can we do it more can we be slower there and a bit quicker there?
Sure.
You know.
Well, you're constantly refining.
So,
right?
so there's all those and you know, and like I say, a good dolly grip will help you out with that all the time. Or they'll say, no, but if we go too quick there, I can't stop there because of, you know. And
those are the best. But you know, you'll say something, blah, 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 and they'll go, I'm happy to do that, but there's no way she's going to sit down there, so I think I should hold off. And if you're smart, you go, go for that.
Oh yeah, good point.
Yeah.
Or they've seen something off to the side that you haven't seen because you've got your eye to the eyepiece.
That's one of the things that I've talked with my dolly grips quite a bit about. Is I say, look, you're 3 feet higher than I, because I'm probably lower, or well, maybe I'm not. But you know, you're seeing a different image, space than I'm seeing. So if you see something, let me know. You know, but those are always the best. Have you ever had a shot that it just completely tanked and you couldn't get it, or You don't have to talk
steadicam
about
or otherwise, or anything.
Whichever. The reason I ask is because I'm always interested when someone has failed, which I think everybody has.
There is a shot which I've never yet achieved, I have to admit, I would say, and I want somebody to tell me how to do it.
Okay.
There's a crane where you're above, you've got a car coming in the distance, and it drives up, and then what they want you to do is rotate as the car comes underneath, and it goes a ways.
But not on a remote head,
you maybe you're low, and as the car comes, you crane up, and then you tilt down as it comes, and then as it goes away from underneath you, rotate round, so you're still going the same way. Never managed to achieve that because I always forget that while I'm rotating round, the car's still moving.
Yeah, I understand. I see what you're saying. Have you tried this before and been unable to do it?
I've tried it a few times, and it's never quite worked out because you can never get high enough to give you enough room to rotate, so the car tilts and the car stays in frame.
Yeah. I know.
I've tried that a few times, and it's like, wouldn't it be great if we could do this here? Maybe it's not quite as... You know,
and then you quietly talk them into some other idea.
Well, maybe we just don't go quite as high.
What if we were off on an angle?
So anyway, that's one of those things.
But the reason I was asking was, I mean, have you had times where you just, you know, it hasn't worked out, and how do you mentally get pushed back from that and not let it?
I did a Steadicam shot on a film years ago, which was the first day of the film.
Yeah, which is always a tough day.
And it was the first day of the film. It was a new DP. It was a newish crew that I've basically most people I hadn't worked with before, new director. And it was a massive old shot, and they built a hole in the set and everything, and it was just and it was low mode. First time I'd ever used XL2.
Oh jeez.
It was beginning of February. So it was the first job after Christmas.
Okay.
So I was kind of like,
you haven't been working every day.
I haven't been working every day, and I was like, the muscle memory wasn't there.
Does not sound like a recipe for success.
And I think we probably tried. I mean, I won't explain the shot, and I won't tell you the film.
Yeah.
And I think we probably did it about 10 times, and I probably got to the end of it about 3.
Oh, jeez. So,
following an actor who was swift.
Oh boy, this is
up some stairs in the middle of it.
This just gets worse and worse.
And then ending up on a big close up of a radio dial.
Oh my gosh!
And it was just like, anyway. And I mean, the lads were all, even the lads were going, it's fine, don't worry, it's fine, because they said, we know it's the first day, and the director wants something to send to the studio.
Yeah, sure.
Cut to a week later, we shot coverage of it.
Oh, boy. But so quite the reason I ask is I think everybody has this in somewhere. How do you mentally not let that get to you?
I mean, I did probably let it get to me a little bit, but I was kind of like, that's it, I'm off this job. I'm out of here in a week or less than a week. Mm-hmm. But the next day, it was kind of forgotten about, and we just kind of carried on. Really,
you just pushed past,
and you just ignore it, and they all just kept saying, "Don't worry about it."
Yeah,
it's never going to see that. It's never going to be in the film.
Well,
of course it will be in the film. I didn't do the shot.
It better not be in the film.
It better not be in the film. Yeah. So I think there was a bit of it in the final film, but obviously not the whole thing as it was designed.
Yeah,
and it did strike you as a bit of a shock, maybe that when you see it, you go, he's never going to want to use this all the way through as one anyway. There's going to be some coverage at some point.
Those are the things that kill me, is when they want to do some huge Steadicam shot, and just story-wise, there's a point in the middle where they're going to cut. And no. And you're doing this huge shot for where maybe some of it should be low mode, some of it should be high, but there's some better way to do both shots, and and then they do it and they go, let's just grab a little piece, and you're like, just spent all that time, but it happens.
No, I mean, I did doing a thing, and remember doing this like 9-page scene with about 5 actors, and we're all going around.
Yeah.
in and out and everything, and with an Alexa 65.
Oh my gosh. Oof.
And I'm thinking,
Very heavy camera.
once we get through about half through this, I'm not actually thinking about what I'm doing. I'm just thinking about holding the thing
Just
up.
not sitting down. No, we've all had those things, yeah. So I'm sure this has never happened to you, but have you been on any projects ever where the director and the DP did not get along and you were in the middle? Never happens to anyone.
Always been an absolutely perfect relationship.
If it were to happen.
If it were to happen.
What do you? What's your recipe for?
Choose which version you're going to do. Mm-hmm. And that in itself is obviously a bit of a which one.
Where they both want a different.
Where
shot,
they both
basically.
want a slightly different version of where it goes.
Yeah.
It's either choose which version you're going to do one of them.
Yep.
And then one of them, if the other one will either speak up or not speak up.
Yeah.
Or do your own version, in which case they'll both speak up.
I like that. We're just doing this stat.
They'll both speak up, and you can say, "Well, can you decide between you?"
Yeah. Actually, you know what? That's the first time I've heard that. I like that. Don't even listen to either of them and do your own thing.
Do your own thing, and then they'll both come at you and go, "But I thought we were gonna." Don't we want to be? And
but you said,
and then said, "Yeah, but." And then I have occasionally, and if I've known both the DP and the director, and I've worked with them before, I have sometimes just said, "You two have a chat first. Let me listen, and then tell me which one you want to do."
Yeah.
But it's the nature of
situation.
it.
We've all been in that situation, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's just one of those things, and you just have to kind of get along with it, really.
Yeah.
And like I say, decide how you're gonna. It'll depend on how part of the relationship. If it was completely new people to me, then that's the hardest. If you don't know either of them, obviously, if you know the director, you can speak to him straight away, and if you know the DP well, you can talk to them.
Yeah.
If you don't know either of them, maybe it's a do your own thing.
Flip a coin or do your own thing.
Do your own thing.
This is a static shot.
Do your own version of it, and then they'll either like it or they'll not like it.
Why is the camera on a sandbag in the corner?
Why are you framing him like that?
Yeah. What about how do you work with the first AD? When you're the camera operator, I should say.
Weirdly, I don't know whether this is a common thing, but if I have an interview for a job with a DP, one of the questions I always ask is there a first AD on board yet? And who's it?
It's so funny. I do the same thing because it'll make or break your show.
Because there's a point where if it's a name you know, or off he got the DP says no, it's so and so and so, and also I don't know, but he said no, he seems very together, and still that's no guarantee, obviously, because you don't until you get on the floor on the first day whether or not it's going to work. No, I just try and impart as much information to them as we can, and obviously, like everybody, if they've paid attention to what the blocking is and so on, and people have discussed coverage, then you sort of get on with them and keep them a bit informed, or if there's anything about them, they'll see what's going on, whether it's progressing to a point where they can get into a rehearsal or a second team thing, as soon as. Just keep talking to them, really.
It's all about the communication.
And it's all about that thing of saying, and then we're actually going to do it like this, so it's going to take another 5 minutes just to shift that over, move this, put a board down, or whatever,
And so you try to stay a couple steps ahead, like, hey, after this, I think we're going to need to move that or move this. Or
again, that would depend on a little bit on how much the director has, or the DP has decided what the coverage might be, because obviously there are some times when you do it shot by shot.
You don't know,
and you don't really know. And I'd say, and quite often they'll say, what do you think we need for the rest of this? I said, well,
this is my guess.
I said, my guess is we probably want something like that, like that. And there's always that big question about, and anybody listening to this who's worked with me more recently will understand when they say, well, what do you think we need? I said, well, I'm actually more interested in what we want rather than what we need.
I like that. There's a DP I work with named John Lindley, who's a very good friend of mine. He's an excellent DP. And he came up to me once and he goes, we finished the day. AD came up to me and said, we got 32 setups today. And John looked at me and he goes, no discussion of whether any of them were any good. Because if we get 40 tomorrow, it'll be a better day. Yeah. But they have a different game to play. I know.
And I just can't. So I kind of. My other thing that people listening to this have worked with me recently will also hear me say quite a lot is you can't shoot too many shots you're not going to use.
I like that very much. Yeah,
because sometimes you just go, we've covered this a million times in other angles.
Yeah.
Can we not just move on to doing this if you really think you need that? Then I mean, but it's not for me to say in the end what the coverage is. But I don't mind spouting up and saying,
do we really need this?
Don't you want a more isn't it more for better?
Or more so, didn't we just get that?
Yeah. So there's a lot of so there's a bit of that. I mean, in the end, depending on what system you're working to. I mean, the American system was much more where if I'm right, is that the DP is much more involved in what the coverage is with the director.
The classical,
whereas in the UK, it's always been a bit more operator-director relationship, and the DP's in there, but it's but they're all different. And sometimes, the director will come on and say, "I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this," and you work.
Or they'll give you the list, right?
They'll give you a list, or they'll work. So even if they're shots, you think. Ugh. You just do them because that's what you're there to do. Ultimately, you're there to serve what they want to do.
Sure.
But I still reserve the right to spout up, even if they go, "What? No way, we're going to do that." and as long as you're prepared to not be offended by what they say in reaction to your ideas, then that's fine. That's just part of what it is, isn't it?
Absolutely. No, 100%. Have you worked on many shows where you can go either way? Either you worked on it and thought this is going to be horrible, and then it turns out really well, or vice versa.
Both. Absolutely. You can never completely tell.
It's interesting,
ultimately,
right?
what it's going to be like. You can get a massive kick out of doing the job and having a great time and getting on with everybody and thinking, "Oh, I did that really well, and that was good. I like that. I know I must remember to do that again."
Yeah.
And then you see it, and it's like, "Oh, that wasn't very good, was it?"
I find that usually it goes that way more than you think. You think it was terrible, and it comes out great, because that's a little harder to pull off. But occasionally you don't quite get what they were going for, and you go, "Oh, this I didn't see this. This is what it is." Yeah. What do you do during rehearsals? You personally, as the operator.
I don't know what what we seem to do here now is we have a director-actor rehearsal, which generally I'm not invited to.
Yes, it's a 50-50 depending on the show and the director.
Depending on the show, and then
we call it a private.
The director's a private blocking and so on and so on, and then there's a crew show.
Yeah.
So then I come in with the crew show and see it, and then if there's a discussion, sometimes a discussion because the first's been involved in the private showing.
Yeah.
And then maybe the first might say, "Well, what we're thinking is there'll be something here first. We'll start with that, and there'll be a bit of coverage here." But I mean, depending on how long the scene is, it could be too many shots. So they probably only describe the first 2 or 3 potentials.
But do you usually go in with a viewfinder and actually line things up, or?
Again, that would depend on the director and the DP, really. I mean, yes, if certainly the first shot, I would say, right. So where are we going to be? We're going to be here.
Yeah,
and you want
to
be
lock into
that
something
to that, and then we're going to move, or is it we're going to be around here, and So I mean, just listen and suggest again if you think there's something to go, well, can't we be more there, because I think we'd see more of this, which would help you sell something that's going to happen later on, potentially, stuff like that, really. Just it's a paying attention game, really.
Yeah,
it's a paying attention, and like we said before, learning when not to say anything or when to spout up, really.
Yeah, and again, it all depends on the people, because there's some people I work with that I just go in and I say nothing, because I know it's got to come from there first, and then I'll help mold it. And there's some people that I know that they're waiting for me to go, "Well, I think this should be great," and it's you got to be a chameleon, really, to fit into both of those things.
And then you don't want to upset the DP by suggesting something that he doesn't want to light.
If you have an idea for a shot, do you always just go straight to the DP and quietly?
Again, that would depend on the relationship you have with them. If they're both ones you worked with before.
So it comes down to the relationship.
I would quite happily just say, "Well, what about this?" or that. And if it's not, and if they seem fairly confident that's what they want to do, then I'll go along with that, probably. Yeah. But still, like I say, I always reserve the right to spout up if I think I want to spout up. I'd be told off.
Yeah. What about working with the boom operator?
Well, I mean, again, it's another thing. The boom operator, the standby art director, and props guys, they're the kind of ones that...
What was the second one? The boom operator?
The standby art director.
A standby art... We don't have...
Oh, no, we have... So the standby art director in this country is like the representative of the production designer who's immediately on the floor.
Oh, interesting. We don't really... Yeah. Well, I mean, we have the set... We have... There's sort of like there's the set... set dresser.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe that's a
maybe
set
it's a
dresser
similar
sort of-
thing.
Yeah. Okay. I got you. But it's someone who you can go, hey, can we move the refrigerator
Yeah.
over or something or
Or
whatever.
they might say, well, no, because the reason that's there is because of something that the designer has
Some
put in
larger,
place for some
specific
larger
something.
task,
I
or
see.
some larger,
Oh, that's
larger
interesting.
thing.
So they're really a
So
representative
they're,
of that. That would be so nice
they're
to
the
have.
designer's representative who's on the set with you.
Yeah, I will say that with us, I've had situations where set dressers will say, I'll say, yeah, do whatever you want. Or they'll say, you know what, let me just call the production designer and check that because there was a note about that. So maybe that's kind of what we have. Yeah. But yeah, those three you're working very closely with.
And the boom up, I mean, you just have to talk to them and say, look, I think this is going to be here, or you're going to be shafted here because there's way too much headroom and you're not going to get in, or you can get in. This is where we can get to.
Yeah.
Or I'll say, when we get into the coverage, you're going to have plenty of time potentially to cover all of that properly,
Yeah.
Because, God bless the boom ups, always want to get in for everything. And that's fine.
Yeah.
And if they want to, they want, and let's try and help them, is what I say. I mean, I've never had a problem, I've never had a problem with anybody can come and look down the viewfinder and see what the shot is as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to come, because they'll quite often say, well, how wide are you here? And I'll say, look, just have a look in here.
Yeah, it's right here.
And you'll get a much better sense of what it actually is, rather than me standing here and going, a bit over there to the right and a bit over there by that light over there.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I will try and help them out as much as possible, the boom ups, yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny because it's one of those things that at the beginning of a job, especially the first couple of rehearsals, I'll usually, if the boom operator's not there or they're not paying attention, I know I'm in trouble. But if they're there and then the second that it finishes, they're looking at a piece of glass or something, I go, okay, I'm going to be all right.
Yeah.
The half of my job is taken care of there. Because the thing that drives me nuts more than anything is when we get into the first take and the boom operator says, well, how am I going to keep out of that glass or something? It's like, well, where were you during the rehearsal?
Yeah.
Like that's
While we were laying the boards and
that's-
tracking in front of the glass.
Yeah.
Just doing a little, showing you where the move
I mean, I can't even remember. Thankfully, I've gotten to the point where the people I'm working with, I can't even remember the last time, but it has happened in the past. What one of your favorite projects that you've worked on? You have a favorite or one of them?
No.
Okay.
No, that's true. I mean, like I say, the Walker always is one that comes to mind, but
you
mainly
mentioned
because
that's right.
that was because it was my first day camera job. I mean, recently, Slow Horses has been amazing because I've done.
Yeah, tell me about that. What's Gary Oldman like?
He's great.
He seems like,
he's great.
He's one of those actors who I sort of feel like if I met Gary Oldman, I wouldn't know who he is because he's such a complete chameleon in everything that he does. I haven't seen Slow Horses, but I'm so excited to because everybody says it's great.
No, he's great, and he knows what to. He's very good for the camera. He knows what the camera does, and he'll.
He's aware.
He's aware, and sometimes he might say, how close you're coming in, and where are we going to go to on this, and so on.
Is he open? Is he open to the needs of what you have?
Yeah. No, there are times when I'll say, look, we need to get you a bit further around here, or well, he's very.
But he understands
he's kind of on that. Yeah.
Those are the best actors who understand. Look, I've got to do what I've got to do.
Occasionally, there's times where he's going, I don't want to look there because I'm not looking at the right thing, and I'll say, fine, where do you want to look?
Yeah. But by the way, that's actually a good tip for any people starting out is when an actor says that, you don't go, but I need you, because you're going to lose that battle.
So,
and even if you win that battle, you're going to lose that battle because it's not going to go well.
Yeah, no, he's good. He's great for camera.
I was just talking to, what was I talking to yesterday? Oh, Gary Patterson. And he told me something which is so funny because so many people have done it. It's that thing where you say to an actor, hey, can you... if you can, when you come up here, if you could just turn 3/4 when you hit this mark, I can see past you to see this, or something or other. And they go and they do it, and the director, cut. Why you turn 3/4? And they go, well, he told me to do it. And you go, no, I didn't.
What I meant was.
That's exactly right. But I think everybody, if you've worked long enough, you've done that.
So Slow Horses has been great. I mean, I think when did we start doing it? We started shooting the first series in November 2020, in the middle of COVID. When we started going back to work.
I have to tell you, someone just talked about working in COVID with the masks and everything. I
shot the whole
have
of the
trouble
first
believing
series.
that we did that because it seems like such a long time ago. And it was so crazy. And I remember when we went back first, we were getting tested 8 times a week.
Yeah, we got tested. Once every morning. We got tested every day.
We were Monday through Friday, and then 3 times on the weekend or something
Oh,
crazy.
no, we never.
It was
no,
crazy.
we
But
never
this was literally like the first thing back. They didn't
yeah.
know,
Yeah.
But it's crazy.
And actually, weirdly, there are times, I probably shouldn't say this, there are times when I kind of wish we could go back to those times, because when we started doing it, we had a thing where we were in one of the sets, which was probably one of the smallest sets we'd ever been in for Slow Horses, and like an underground basement thing. And the first had, he had a regime of, right, this department goes in there, does their bit. This department goes in, does their bit. And obviously there's come some overlap time.
It wasn't chaos.
And it wasn't. Nowadays there seems to be much more of, as soon as cut's called, the whole set's descended on by everybody resetting and da-da. And I know they've got to do their thing.
Absolutely.
But there are times when you just think, no, just want that.
Yeah. Or by the way, you want to fix something or tweak something, and you're just like, everybody just waits 2 seconds.
Just go in and...
But there are a couple directors I know who especially because of digital now, specifically will not cut because they don't want, and that drives me nuts too, but I understand it on some level, because they don't want the circus to come in and this and that and the other.
I know.
It's kind of amazing, right?
So I kind of, it was weird at first because you had a mask on and the crew, you didn't really know what they looked like.
Yep.
Because they all had masks.
That was strange, right?
And then we came to series 2 where the restrictions lifted a bit and people slowly started to take their masks off.
Yeah.
Going, oh, you look like that.
I thought you were totally different. No, but it was fascinating how much information your mouth puts into your personality.
Yeah. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
So I kind of weirdly, for the wrong reasons.
No, you missed that thing that brought. I do understand.
It brought a certain kind of rediscipline of, they've got to do that. They've got to do that. And then, but of course, generally speaking, I would still have to be there.
Sure. To
see what they were doing, so they knew what I was doing in relation to where they were moving stuff around or light was coming in or so on and so on.
Yeah. Well, but I think hearing it, what it reminds me of is, I think if you're like me, you sort of miss the way that it was when we were shooting film, because in a weird way, when you were shooting film, it was a little more. It wasn't as much of a free for all, and I don't know quite why.
No, I know. I don't know.
I will say this, that when we used to shoot film, the feeling of something going through the camera, and it was like there was this understanding something important was happening, because you were actually like, you were expending something. There was only so much film, and I think that there was just a different atmosphere on set than there is now, which is, well, we can go again and we can keep going, and
no, there's definitely a lot.
It's changed a lot. Do you still get nervous at the beginning of a job?
Oh yeah.
What is it? Is it the same nervous you used to be, or is it a different nervous, or what?
It's a kind of am I still going to be able to do what they want me to do, sort of thing.
Like there's a shot out there I can't pull off.
There's something. Yeah, you get sniffs of things that might want to happen. I'm thinking, how are we going to do that then?
Yeah. Yeah.
I've just been on recce's for when I'm going to start, and
what's a recce?
Where everybody goes and looks at locations and talks about tech
recce. We call them scouts.
Scouts, we call them recce's.
Recce's. Okay. Yeah.
So when after the director's been on their recce's and the designer's been and everybody, and then they have like a tech recce with like the rest of the people, I would go then.
That's great. We never get to do that.
Yeah, I would go on the tech recce's.
I don't.
Because of various things, I've missed a few of these, but but then over a 20-week odd shoot, a lot of it's going to change anyway.
Sure, no, absolutely. But at least it gives.
And then there's been a couple of shots, and you're thinking, how am I going to do this? You know. And you think, actually, that one's never going to happen.
You don't even think about it
because actually,
never going to get.
Once they figure out how much it's going to cost to do, that's never going to happen.
Or this will be green screen because they'll never do it that way.
Or the chances are this location is going to get lost anyway by the time we get to.
This is for the next
show
you're doing. Yeah. And how many episodes is that?
6.
Yeah. Now, what kind of hours do you work here?
It varies. So if you're doing feature hours, generally it's a 12-hour day or a 10-hour continuous.
12-hour with lunch or 10-hour
12 hours with a lunch or 10-hour continuous.
And when you say 10-hour continuous, but they can't go past, there's no way they can go past.
No, they can do more, but as long as you get, in theory, you're asked to do that, you have to be giving enough notice to go into the overtime. Mm-hmm. I mean, there was a time when continuous days started to come in. I think that they were, they weren't allowed to have any overtime.
Well, that's what I was wondering.
But as the continuous day things become much more common over the last few years.
Yeah.
Well, probably not few. I mean, I do remember when we used to do 12-hour days on film, and if you're doing the TV hour agreement, then it's 11 hours, 10 plus 1 for lunch, or a 9-hour continuous. So on Slow Horses, we do a 9-hour day.
Well, that's
so
like
we do an 8 till 5 day as a standard day.
Yeah, I am so jealous of you because you know what we do. We do an average day for us is 13, including lunch.
Yeah.
And it's just,
yeah,
it beats you down. And the older I get, the harder it gets. And boy, to be able to do it, I mean, you basically have a 9 to 5 job on some level. I mean,
kind
close
of,
to it, or 8 to 5.
Yeah, it's good.
But then will you turn around to nights if you have, like at the end of the week, will you do an overnight, or does that usually not happen?
No, it doesn't usually happen. I mean,
I got to move to England.
Yeah.
That's just
it's funny, I remember when we did Ready Player One, and I was doing the B camera with Mitch, and
Mitch
Dubin.
Oh, you were with Mitch Dubin.
He did the A camera,
of course,
I did the B camera, yeah.
Yeah.
And before we started, I had a couple of transatlantic phone calls with the American line producer who was coming over. There was like an English line producer, production manager, and then there was an American one.
Sure.
And I had a few phone calls like that, and I remember he said to me, people keep telling me about this 10-hour day thing. What's that? And I said, well, it's, you start work.
That's where you have 3
work
more
for 10
hours
hours, and then you go home at a kind of more reasonable time. And
yes.
Everybody's,
it's pretty simple.
And he said, oh, well, Stephen likes to work 12 hours. And I said, well, that's fine, whatever. I said, but, I just sort of say that when you come over, a few people probably said, well, I've been mentioned a few times. So, so when he came over, and we started shooting, I think we were in the second or the third. Well, for the first 2 weeks, actually, I did the A camera because Mitch was on another job. Oh, and then my last phone call before they came over, I spoke to him in the States, and then at the end we'd been talking for about 40 minutes or something about what's going to go on, and it's Stephen and how he likes to work and all of that, the whole thing,
Mm-hmm.
And he said to me, all right, great, that's great. Well, I'll see you. I'm coming over in a couple of weeks, so I'll see you then, He said, oh yeah, one more thing. He said, yeah. By the way, did you know Mitch isn't available for the first 2 weeks because he's something, so you're going to be doing the A camera. And I was like,
I love it. I love that that's the by the way.
Yeah. And I went, phone goes down.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, have I just been thrown to the lights?
Yeah. How was working with Spielberg?
But he was great.
Yeah.
But he was great.
Yeah.
But then we were about the second or the third day, and I said to the line producer, I said, so we're doing 12-hour days, and has nobody been pressing you about the 10-hour day continuous? And he went, well, there's a few people mentioned it, but no, it's well, Stephen likes to start 7 and do 7 till 7. And I said, you know what the problem is, don't you? He said, what? He said, you people like to have a meeting at lunchtime about something, don't you? And he went, there might be something in that.
That's the secret. Oh wow! Yeah, Mitch is a great operator.
Yeah, great. So I did the first 2 weeks, and then Mitch finished his other job and came on board, and then I did the B camera for the rest of it.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
But
what was working with Spielberg like?
It was great. I mean, I have to say that I've never come across anybody with such a brilliant way of just blocking a scene and composing the shot, really.
It's so funny that you said that.
And the decision making is
his
just like...
blocking is just unbelievable. I mean, his blocking in his movies, I don't know where it comes from, and now you're telling me it comes from him, but it's amazing.
Yeah, and he'll have an iPad. He had an iPad, so he was always next to camera. Very rarely would he be disappearing to monitors.
That's so great. I've heard this before,
obviously there are times when he's on a crane or whatever, then he'd be on monitors, but then usually you'd be at the wheels next to him,
Yeah.
But his kind of decision making about, no, let's not do that. And if something wasn't working, his ability to just go, let's not do that, let's do this instead.
Yeah.
That was...
And collaboration wise, open to suggestions?
Yeah, I mean, it was maybe it was an odd one. Maybe I'm speaking out of turn, and if he hears this, he'll hate me. I mean, I think maybe in another job he may have been a bit more prepped in terms of the coverage, but I think because for 7 weeks before we started shooting live action, they shot a lot of motion capture. So while we were shooting the live action, he was constantly disappearing off to the motion capture post suite to block in stuff. So sometimes, I think he was sometimes occupied with that. So sometimes when we blocked stuff out, a lot of it was kind of just on the day with the actors. And, and that's great. So I was I wasn't surprised, but I thought there'd be a little bit more where he'd come with a definite story things I wanted to do.
But maybe, like you said, maybe because that's a new.
But I think on that job, I mean, another job it could be completely different.
Yeah,
but,
sure.
But we would block a scene out, and then Janusz would say, "Oh, I need so and so just because I've got to do this and I've got to do that."
Yeah.
So Stephen would disappear off to the motion capture suite, and he'd be doing things, and then he'd come back and we'd shoot. So that was it. And like I say, his ability to just go, yeah, that's great, or actually I don't like that. That's not quite working how I wanted. Let's change it and let's do this instead.
That's
There
great.
wasn't any dithering about. He would just go, let's do this instead.
That's amazing.
And because he was next to you, you know, you would occasionally have like, pan more left, be more headroom and all of that.
Yeah,
so,
of course,
you know,
yeah.
which you would get anyway.
Also, but by the way, it seems to me if Steven Spielberg's telling you that, you go, okay, I'll pan left.
I'll do that.
But
so that was good. So having him next to camera a lot was
sure.
just great. Yeah.
But I would look, stepping in for a camera for a big director that you haven't worked with would be one thing, but it seems like it's even more to step in for Mitch Dubin, who's been working with him for so long.
And also, I didn't actually meet Stephen until we did a couple of days of what we call pre-shoot days.
Yeah.
So we did a couple of days of that where there was what do they call? I can't remember what it's called now. It was like a hybrid of. It was a little bit of a set with an actor in a motion capture suit.
Yeah.
Which it was when we were doing recreations of The Shining stuff in the middle.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
And that was the first day that I met him.
Wow.
I mean, because I'd come straight from another job and we went straight onto it before. I never really got a chance to meet I tried to meet Janusz before and the timings didn't work out. And so I didn't really meet Janusz until like a couple of days of prep that I had at the studio.
Uh-huh.
And then, but Stephen was always in the motion capture suite. So then they came over to shoot these little bits of stuff.
That's thrown right into the big leagues there.
I mean,
That's great.
I have to say it's probably one of the weirdest experiences I've ever had because it being The Shining, which was, of course, was the thing that
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh, I didn't
got
think
me
about
into
that, yeah.
Steadicam,
Yeah,
thinking,
I'm recreating
so we're
it,
recreating the bit in the bathroom in 237, and there's
Mm-hmm.
a little bath set and a back wall, and most of it's green, but there's a girl coming out of the thing,
Yeah.
and then there's one of the characters in a big motion capture suit,
Right, with by the way Steven Spielberg.
with Steven
it's just
next to
like,
me.
This is
And I'm thinking,
What's
so
going
here we are. So I'm standing here in Leavesden in the studio,
That's great.
recreating scenes from The Shining
Yeah.
with Steven Spielberg next to me, who calls me Mitch a few times, obviously,
Well, that's
because that's what he's used to.
that's high praise.
That's
right there.
fine.
Yeah.
And then, so that was the first bit in the morning, and then in the afternoon, they've built. There's a little flattage which is the lift doors that the blood comes out of,
Oh, the blood. Yeah.
and then they've got these twins that they've got as the twins that they've been training and who spoke in perfect harmony and everything.
Wow.
So we're lining up this shot of the twins in front of the doors, who are going to say, "Come and play with us, Danny."
Yeah.
So I'm there and I've got my active viewfinder and I'm thinking, there's something weird going on here. And I realise that Stephen's not stood next to me with his iPad.
Oh.
And I'm thinking, what's going on? Anyway, so I look up and off to my right, just off to the side of the set, is Stephen with his camera taking pictures on his iPhone.
Okay.
I'm thinking, this is odd.
That's awesome.
So I look around behind me, and behind me is Kubrick's wife and brother-in-law, who was his producer. They're stood behind me, watching what's going on.
Wow!
And I'm going,
Oh my-
this is just
this-
too
I can't-
weird.
yeah.
This is just too weird.
That's great. What a cool
This
story.
is just too weird.
Oh, that's fantastic. And what were they jazzed that this was
Yeah,
going
I think
on?
they thought it was great, you know.
Oh,
but
that's
it
really
was just
neat.
like, this is just insane.
Yeah, but that's surreal.
This is melting my head.
Yeah. That's surreal. Wow. Since you were talking about motion capture, I want to talk to you about you did Paddington.
Oh, yeah,
Visual
yeah.
Paddington.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming the bear was completely CGI.
Yeah.
So when you're shooting, is there something in its place, or are you kind of guessing where?
Yeah,
it
no,
is,
we had a stand-in, a small person stand-in,
just to frame up on.
to
or?
frame up on and do some rehearsals with,
Okay.
and then so we would do some reference takes with them,
With them. Okay.
and then there was various Paddington kind of models,
Yeah. You mean real 3D?
kind of like
real
3D
world.
bear.
Yeah. An actual
At the
thing.
correct height, and they would occasionally be put in as references as well for these effects.
Okay.
And there was a head as well. So if you'd done close-ups, you could line up a head and rotate the head so they could see where the outline might need to be or not. So there'd be reference material of that. But you would still, but the shot would be clean of all
Clean
of
of
that.
it. So then basically, are you lining up on the real bear, thinking about, okay, my background, I'm framing this. You're essentially framing background almost, as if you're panning with the bear or something like
or
that.
panning with the bear, or if there's another character in it, you're using them to help you frame
key
for where
off
the
of.
space where the bear would be.
Yeah. Does that? I mean, that must be odd.
And it can
at the
be a bit of a
beginning,
mind.
but
Yeah.
Does it eventually become sort of normal?
No, it never becomes normal. And then if it's quite a long take, especially if it was a crane as well, you'd be like, oh,
I didn't even think about that on a crane. It would
so
be.
if you're on a crane,
if there's anything tight, it would be.
and you're relying on the grips to kind of give you the same trajectory every time, and stuff like that. And and obviously there was obviously visual effects supervisor on the floor all the time then checking.
Who would sign off
Who
on
would
it?
say, yeah, well, we've got enough to put him in there.
Okay,
or,
yeah.
You know, all right, that takes slightly different from before, but there's room for us to put him in and so on. And, you know, they can always change stuff, you know, and we had a head that would rotate with it. Do you want to see one eye or two eyes, or should he be looking there, or should he be looking over there?
And then are the people in the scenes doing the lines with someone off camera who's reading the lines?
What did we do for that? I can't remember, to be honest. I think quite often Paul, the director, read the lines in.
Yeah, Paul or okay.
He read the lines because it was definitely his baby, and he knew exactly what he was after.
Yeah, it's an odd thing. I've done a little bit of that. I did some of it on Ghostbusters, but there wasn't a lot of it.
And on Fantastic Beasts, we had lots of things flying around and everything, and you've got to kind of try and pre-program in, and they say, right, just do one, and let's do one clean with nobody in.
Yeah, and then...
And you're going, but I was using him, who was walking over there. That bloke walking left to right over there's my cue.
Let's take out everything that Vince is using to key off.
Can we just do a tile?
Yeah, exactly.
No, we want the crane. We want approximately the crane move, you know.
But then it ends up coming out, and also because they can manipulate it.
And they can manipulate it. And I'll say, does it have to be the same speed? Can we do it a bit slower so we're kind of not, you know? And, but yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a wild. It can be a mindfuck. Excuse my French.
Do you enjoy that, or do you rather do straight up drama where the people are all there and the things?
Actually, I haven't done one for a while, so it would be interesting to do one again. Yeah. I suppose.
I found the ones that I've done after a while, they just get a little tedious. It's a little bit to me more like. Yeah. You know, building things as opposed to telling stories because I don't understand. It's not all there, you know.
Yeah, no. And then sometimes when you've got to say, well, it leaves a bit more headroom than you would do normally. It's like, no, this is the way I do it. I can't.
I know. There is that thing. Then you have to force it. I was actually just doing a commercial where they specifically wanted a lot of headroom because they're going to mess around, and I had to throw away all of my instincts of how to land a frame and land higher because in a frame I never would do, but it's of course what they want. So
you have to go up and you say, is that all right? Is there enough in there for you?
And then they're like, and you're like, this looks terrible. And they're like, we love it. And it's like, hey, good. I'm here to do
Moving
your job.
on.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Is you have a favorite DP that you've worked with, or DP you work with quite a bit?
You're trying to pin me down to get into trouble with that.
Get me in trouble with that.
Get me in trouble with that. Favorite DP? I love them all. No. I mean, at the moment, I've worked a lot with Danny Cohen, who we've done Slow Horses with. Okay. Who's been very good to me, I have to say.
So that's a couple of seasons.
God bless his soul. So we've done. He did season 1, 3, 4, and we finished shooting 5. So I'm great for him. And I've done a few the last 3 or 4 years before Slow Horses as well. I mostly did his jobs as a camera when I was available. So he was good, and because up to that point, up until not that long ago, I didn't really have a regular a DP that I did a camera for.
It was just here and there.
It was just here and there, and we got out of. I had one, Chris Seeger, who I did the Walker with, kind of got out of sync with him as you do, and we never really got back into it. So it was a bit annoying, really. I mean, the first time I worked with Danny, I did C camera on Les Miserables.
Oh wow.
And I was put in because I knew his focus puller quite well. He sort of kind of stuck me in when they wanted a third camera permanently. And I've worked with the director Tom Hoop before as well, so that was where I first met Danny and kind of got on with him. You know? So it kind of went from there really. And he had his own regular camera operator then, Zach Nicholson, who's now doing good DP in his own right, sort of thing. So I kind of took over from Zach, I think, for a bit. Or was there somebody else in between? I can't remember anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah.
But you've been working with him for a while.
So I've been working with him for a while, yeah.
But that's great when you get into that, because you get into a groove with each other, right? And you start, you don't even have to like say certain things because you know how each other work.
And the level of abuse just increases between each other all the time.
Yeah. That's great.
So yeah, but it was good. And it was funny because on Les Mis, I was only doing the C camera, and Zach, who's doing the A camera, he did steadicam on that. Yeah. Even though he knew. I did do a couple of steadicam days when Zach got sent off to do kind of like splinter unit and so on.
Or something,
so that was all right. So I did do a few steadicam days, but it was funny because I remember one day we're shooting in, where were we? It was was it a night? I think it was a night. I can't remember. Shooting, and there's a steadicam shot where we've got Hugh Jackman barreling out of this church towards them, singing, of course, and he's got to come through this graveyard, which is on a slight incline, so he's backing up the incline, which is also on a camber.
Oh, fantastic.
There's artificial snow all over the ground.
Getting better and better.
And then he has to back away and then step on a crane and then go up in the air. And there's also a zoom built in as he goes away because it's going to transition into something else,
Yeah.
which then becomes a CG sky, and then down into a shot of Russell Crowe on his horse, which I then did. I actually did on it as a little splinter unit anyway, but by the by. So anyway, but also the crane, where the graveyard ends, where the crane, we have to get on the crane. There's like a 30-foot drop to a car park.
Oh, boy.
And they've built a tower and a platform to put the crane on, and the crane sits on the edge of the thing like that.
Yeah.
And he has to back up and get onto it. I mean, it was just like murderous, and
That's a lot going on.
and of course he's singing. He's singing live as well, because in Les Mis the actors sang live.
They recorded it live.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't realize that.
So it was all that. So we're doing this thing, and we watched it through, and I was thinking, bloody hell, oh God. And Zach said,
Oh, you're standing behind the monitors.
well, I was in the graveyard,
Yeah.
hid behind a tombstone on the 12 to
on
1.
a long lens. Okay,
on the 12 to 1, trying to get a little profile of, can keep Zach out.
Doing the easy work.
Yeah, as he backs up and on the and the whips are pulling him and everything, and then so they kind of rehearsed it a couple of times, I think, and anyway, Zach said, Vince, he said, "Have you got any tips?" I said, "Why are you asking me?" He said, "Well, you've done this sort of thing before." I said, "Well, my advice is get somebody else to do it."
I get him asking, and I get you saying that. I mean, that sounds like. Did he pull it off? Okay.
Yeah, no, it's in the film.
That's
it's in the film.
I'll have to watch that. I've never seen
it's
the
in the
movie, but I'll
film.
have to
Yeah.
watch it for
It's
that.
in the film, and he did amazing. But I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, well, that's
I'm
one of
glad
those ones
that's
where
not
you're
me.
sitting back on the 12 to 1 going, at least I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I haven't done a lot of things where I've been on another camera, but in this been Steadicam. But the couple that I am, it is actually for me. I actually sort of like watching people do Steadicam because you don't usually get to do it, right?
No, I know.
And one of the things that I find myself doing is, it's funny because I'll watch someone, I'll go visit someone on a set or something, or maybe I'll come in for B camera or C camera or whatever, and someone will do Steadicam, and I'll catch myself looking at it and going, that is so cool looking, even though I do it, but you don't ever see, you don't see someone else do it. And
apparently I stick my tongue out when I do it. Apparently people keep
Garrett talks about how you want to have the look, which is the supreme confidence and not this tongue sticking
not
out.
this
in our
shit.
Yeah, exactly. But he's pretty classic about that.
Yeah.
Well, listen, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much. There's so much great information here. I'm going to leave you with the question that I leave everybody with. Advice that you have for someone getting into the business now, or advice that you wish you had when you were younger on how to succeed.
Oh, how to succeed? I don't know. I mean, it's a case. You have to be persistent, I guess, really, and just keep plugging away, because if you really want to do it, in the way that I was lucky that I found that John Ward just didn't say, well, who are you, sort of thing. He just said, go come down and have a play. That you meet somebody, or you've got to just plug away till you find somebody or something that will give you that thing that takes you to the next stage, if you like. Because it's never going to be quick. It has to be you have to build it up. Be persistent, really, and be nice to people. I mean, I know it's easy for me to say now because I've been doing it for a long time, but, there was a time when I would have taken any job, no matter what the thing was like, because you want the experience. And those jobs do give you lots of experience on how to deal with those situations. But in the end, you just want to work with nice people who you get on with. And you feel like you're doing an okay job, and everybody appreciates what you do and you appreciate what they do.
I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. We'll be back soon with another great episode. Don't forget to check us out on theop.io for all sorts of information on operating and storytelling. So thanks for listening, and have a great day.